Hello everybody, welcome to the introductory agents webinar for Vivere. My name is Michael Layton, I'm the CEO of API Global, and with it being the week of our 10th birthday, firstly happy birthday API Global, but welcome to our new podcast studio. So with me today is, to my left, Nick Lee, who works on the sourcing side of API Global, and to my right is Lewis Finn, who is the Global Sales Director for API. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
So today we're just going to talk to you a little bit about Vivere, introduce you to the project, cover off some information about what we think is important regarding what we do before we bring a project to market. I think it's important you guys understand that. We'll talk to you a little bit about the developer, about the Foreshore Group, and then go through to the actual project itself, Vivere Residences, which we're very excited about bringing to you. We're going to be doing more of this. This podcast studio we've just had set up in the office in Dubai. It's something that we're very passionate about, so watch this space, you're going to get much more content like this. And we're going to keep it relatively casual, just have an open conversation, and you can use this as you see fit with your clients to cover off really the investment case of any new project and make a decision essentially on whether it's something that you think suits your clients. So look, just a little bit firstly, I guess, about API Global. Like I said, we're in our 10th year of operation. I feel like we've stood the test of time. It's been a great journey along the way. We've pretty much doubled the business every year. But I think something I really want to drive home in this is how important it is to understand we are a B2B business, right? So the idea of that is we're not offering B2C services. We're not targeting direct clients with API Global. We are simply structured so you guys can plug into us and use as much or as little as our end-to-end solution as you see fit. So you can trust us. We're here to support you guys and for your clients to plug into. What we're very, very good at, and we'll talk a little bit more about this and how we do it, is the sourcing side. We don't have a problem finding good quality projects, and that's what we want to continue doing as a business. We want to just work hard to find the best in class property investments and bring them to you guys, our partners, on a global level. So, firstly, let's talk a little bit, just to give you an idea of the point of this, is this is an introductory webinar to a new launch. So it's a pre-launch webinar, and we felt it was important to bring it to your attention, to help you understand the project, for you to make decisions before we actually launch. We're going to be launching a VIP soft launch on Monday, which is the 23rd of September, followed by the global launch on the 30th of September, okay? So the 26th, Thursday the 26th, we're going to be holding a VIP client webinar. So if this is for you at the end of this webinar, it's something you want to put to your clients, feel free, it's going to be a closed webinar, feel free to invite your clients back a week today, and we'll have it obviously a bit more client friendly. We can bring on Lyndon Foreshore, who is the developer, for a bit of a meet the developer Q&A. And we can get some easy tap-ins next week. So please do invite clients next week, and let's get off to a flyer on this. At the end of this webinar, we're going to have a live Q&A. So we'll cover off as much as we can today. Anything you feel that we haven't covered, feel free to ask the questions at the end. And yeah, let's get going. So cheers for being here, guys. Welcome. Right, so I think first, guys, let's talk a little bit about what do API do? What do we do as a business before we bring a project to you? As I introduced Nick earlier, Nick works on the sourcing side of the business with myself and Ross Gardner. So we've got a team of 3 people now looking at new opportunities, trying to identify what we consider best in class opportunities so we can bring those through to Lewis, and Lewis can launch that throughout his team of account managers globally who are essentially there to support you guys and generate the sales. So I thought it would be really useful on this just to cover off a little bit about what do we do, what do we look at, what how do we identify these opportunities? And it's steps 1 and 2 in our end-to-end solution, and fundamentally they are the foundations of this business. If we don't conduct steps 1 and 2 correctly, everything we do afterwards is flawed. So hugely important that the first step being the market research. Everything we do is data driven. It's looking at market indicators as to where we should be targeting. And it's not just about, look, Manchester's a great investment case. Where are we seeing growth opportunities within Manchester? What we consider pockets of value. So Old Trafford's a good example, right? It's outside the city centre, values were relatively low, but rents are outperforming values. So that is obviously an opportunity or a location, should I say, where we would expect capital growth, sustained capital growth and rental growth. And that is the name of the game. That's what we're here to do. We're here to achieve sustained capital growth and rental growth. And if you can offer that to clients, then it's going to be a very positive investment journey for the clients. So important to understand the market research piece is not just about where to invest, it's about where within these cities and the little pockets of value that we can identify. Secondly, we then once we've identified that, we move into the due diligence phase and securing the actual investment. And some developers will bring us in at different stages. So with the Foreshore Group, who is a developer on Vivere, we've got a long-term relationship. We're on our 7th development now with Lyndon and his team there. And Lyndon brings us in as consultant at the point of identifying sites. Site acquisition point, we come in. He'll send sites through to us and say, what do you think about this as a location, and what sort of offering do you think that this could justify and sustain, and therefore what would the values be? So it's important you understand we do genuinely come in very early on, and we turn away far more developments than we accept and put through to the market, to you guys. So it's really important. We even get involved in the design. We sit in architects meetings with the Foreshore Group and give our views on the design. And also, a good example of that, Nick, is you're going to talk about it in a minute, but the luxury collection, right? We've done something a little bit different with the luxury collection, which is where we're the top couple of floors just below the penthouses. We've got a boutique offering. A bespoke offering, should I say, for you guys. So Nick will touch on that in a little bit. But the due diligence piece of what we do is absolutely critical to everything working going forward. Just a little bit on Foreshore Group. Track record, 1,600 homes delivered over the past 10, 15 years, 20 plus developments. We've been involved, as I said, in 7 of those. We have a fantastic relationship with Lyndon and the rest of the Foreshore Group. It sounds a bit of a cliche. It doesn't. For me, it's not a developer-agent relationship. It's much more than that. And long may that continue. We literally, he trusts us from the site acquisition stage through to managing the marketing and the entire distribution and managing all the completions for him. So we cherish a relationship. It's one that we want to continue to grow. And with the support of you guys, we can do that. In terms of the DD side of things, we get involved in everything from looking at the funding, the capital stack. It's Maslow Capital, just for reference on this project, as the senior debt provider. Lyndon's put the equity in himself, which is a big part of it, so there isn't the pressure of an external second charge equity investor on this development. We go into the detail where we look at the legal packs before we bring them to market. We look at who the contractor is. The contractor is Domus, so I don't think that's part of the Betfred, the Salboy group of companies. I don't think there's a better contractor in the market at the moment. Lou, would you say there is?
I think just on that as well, one of the biggest worries from an investor perspective is if I'm buying something that's 2 years off plan, let's say, is it going to be delivered in 2 years' time? What we've seen from the past couple of developments with Lyndon is they deliver ahead of schedule when Domus are building, which from an investor perspective is great because you're buying at the unbelievably discounted price off plan, but you're getting the yield quicker than if you were with another developer.
Which arguably is a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
Like, you'd much rather, it's a lesser of two evils though, isn't it? You'd rather be early than you would be the late, right? But what it does mean is that we've got to get turned around the mortgages a lot quicker and the completions, and the sales, of course. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, Dovis, we've been to many of the sites, right? And I've never seen a cleaner building site in my life. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, they run a tight ship, but they throw it up extremely well.
Yeah. And look, they're not the cheapest contractor in the market. They make the money because they're the best. And I don't think that's an issue.
No.
I don't think that's an issue. So going forward, I don't know, you may not know, but the last project that the Forestry Group had, Siltbound Wharf, which we were exclusive on, there was then Victoria House, which some of you will have sold. That was a joint venture with Salvoy. So Dovis have built the last two projects. They're going to build all the future projects for Foreshore Group. So we're completely comfortable from a contractor standpoint. Funding, Maslow Capital, one of the biggest in the market. We're completely happy with that. The Section 106 agreement has been fully executed, so all of that is in place, and the legal pack is essentially the same as the previous project. So in terms of a risk profile for clients, I'm comfortable. Are you comfortable with that, Nick?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Lou, are you comfortable with it?
I don't think you can get a better contractor.
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, that's where it lies, right? They're the guys that are building it, and if we know that they're absolutely solid, it takes the worries away.
Yeah, 100%. Right, so Nick, you work on the sourcing side of the business. You've been involved in identifying this opportunity, in working up the numbers, pricing the units. Do you want to just give us a bit of an overview of the project?
Yeah, so Vivere is based next to Cornbrook Metrolink Station, which is just a 3-minute ride into Deansgate's Castlefield.
That's the key point, isn't it?
It's
the key point
massive.
of this project is...
For me, that's the biggest selling point.
Yeah.
The connectivity, not just to Deansgate, but into Media City, which is the two biggest employment hubs in Manchester.
It's quicker to get to the city centre from here than it is from somewhere like Deansgate Square and some of the Renico.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So connectivity is a massive selling point on this, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's right next to the Metrolink. We've got 237 units. We've got 74 one-beds, 158 two-beds, and then 5 sort of panoramic penthouses at the top.
Okay, nice. And talk to me about amenities. What sort of are we looking at?
Full sort of hotel-style amenities. Obviously, it's a branded residence, this building, so everything you can expect from sort of a 5-star hotel. We've got a coffee shop and bar on the bottom. We've got gymnasium. We've got meeting rooms. We've got a co-working space. And everything else you can expect. So there's 2 floors of amenities to start off with. The key thing here that obviously a lot of developments don't have is that we've got this Vivere on-demand services. So that's basically, you can plug into any of the hotel services, dry cleaning, laundry, cleaning. I mean, even the point they've got on-site handymen. I mean, you can imagine how helpful that's going to be for when you're living there.
So it's basically top level living, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, you expect that from very much in the city centre. I mean, this is something that's slightly outside the city centre, but we're delivering the same sort of quality, I guess, that what we sold before.
Yeah, okay.
But also, we're just on that, we're attracting a different demographic of client than what we've previously maybe sold, or tenant that we've previously maybe dealt with before. We've sold unbelievably high-end schemes in the city centre in the past, where some of the one-beds are now getting £1,800, £2,000 a month rent.
Yeah.
This is a completely different target market that we've not really captured in the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just look at the metro system then, because I think this is a key selling point on the project.
Yeah.
Connectivity. So where does the metro take you? What are the options in terms of local destinations with that metro system?
So you're a couple of stops away from Salford Quays and Media City. You're one stop to Deansgate Castlefield, Deansgate Locks, obviously Deansgate, the main sort of shopping street in Manchester. And then it's another 4 minutes after that to get to St Peter's Square, which is basically your central sort of hub.
Yeah, that's the central you get.
Exactly, yeah. So you're 7 minutes into there, 2 stops. You can get out to the football stadiums, you can get out to the airport. I mean, it's very well connected. Even sort of satellite towns around Manchester, Altrincham, those types of places.
Airport, did you say?
Yeah, you can get a Metrolink direct to the airport.
Fantastic. Look, I think it's worth noting. The previous project that we brought to the market, Siltbound Wharf, is just on the other side of the river, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Vivere sits in a location directly adjacent to Cornbrook Metro Station that takes you into the city and to the airport and to Salford Quays, which is essentially arguably the other CBD in Manchester, or Greater Manchester, should I say. You then have the River Irwell. So on the other side, one side you've got the A56. On the other side of the building, you've got the tram and the River Irwell. Now, there's a number of developments that are coming to fruition along that river, isn't there? And one of the selling points that we had, certainly on Siltbound Wharf, was it's a short walk into spinning fields down the river. I mean, we completely take away the need for that here, don't we?
Exactly, yeah.
Especially when it rains most of the days
Well,
in Manchester,
let's
right?
let's not kid ourselves. We're talking about Manchester here, right? The sun doesn't always shine every day, so jumping on a tram 3 or 4 minutes into Deansgate, and a further 3 minutes in St. Peter's Square is an absolute fantastic.
3 minutes to Old Trafford if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to go watch the Solid Folk, the best team in Manchester play. Nick's a City fan, by the way, if anyone's wondering. And we've got a Liverpool fan here, actually, so all sorts going on. But look, okay, so we've got 237 units, a mix of 1-2 beds, we've got 5 penthouses, we've introduced a luxury collection, which is the top 2 floors below the penthouses, where we're going to offer a bit more of a higher offering,
like sort of a
bespoke offering.
Customizable, really. So we've spoken to Lyndon, and that was one of the ideas that we put together, is that you can choose what kitchens, bathrooms you're going to have, and it's going to be, I think we've also agreed that they're going to be fully furnished, so it's sort of a higher level of the floors below, and also, obviously, at that kind of level in that location, you've got full views around the city, outside to Media City, so they're going to be pretty special apartments. But I think we're going to release them a little bit later on, aren't we?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna the launching on the 30th is going to be the 5th floor through to the 19th floor, isn't it? Yeah. Talk to me about the penthouse, because it's a seriously impressive
I think
dwelling, isn't it?
3,500 square feet. I think we were discussing yesterday. I think it's probably a 2,000 square foot balcony as well.
Yeah.
So, and you've got a full 360 degree view around the city. So yeah, I mean that's going to be pretty special.
5,000 square feet.
I mean, the
one level.
The 1 week a year where you get
Full bed,
sunshine, you get a nice little barbecue up there, aren't you?
Oh, you'll love it up there that one day, yeah. But no, but joking aside, it's 5,000, 2,000 square feet external, 3.5 internal. You've got 360 panoramic views.
Yeah.
Four bed penthouse. That's really the star, isn't it, in this development?
Yeah, and we've been speaking with the architects in terms of maybe offering a couple of different options with that. If you're going to buy that penthouse, maybe you want it a 3-bed, you want a more of an open plan living area. So that's something that we're working on, and that'll be sort of, we'll announce that a bit.
I can see a lot of them. I say a lot of them. You know, there's 5, and then you've got the penthouse being more so owner occupier.
Yeah.
Someone that's wanting a base for for the medium to long term.
100%. You're selling that to somebody who lives in Manchester, who's wealthy, based in Manchester. But it's interesting actually you say that we can customise these apartments, because we obviously launched the W residences last year, and it's kind of this branded residence concept seems to be really taking off. I mean, we've seen it in the Middle East for years, haven't we?
Yeah.
But the UK seems to be really moving in the UK now. Before the W, well, I mean, the W's not built yet, is it? So still technically now, there's only 5 branded residences in the entire UK, all of which are in London, right? So it's incredible that we have the W residences coming. We've got Vivere residences coming in Manchester. We're looking at Nobu Hotel and Residences to launch probably Q2 next year. I mean, this is it's a huge opportunity for the city. And whilst we're on that, let's talk a little bit about Manchester. You know, me personally, I started my career in Manchester in 2005, which is where I trained to be a surveyor. And every time I go back now, it's completely transformed as a city.
Well, we go back on a quarterly basis, and there's something new being built. Domus flags are obviously everywhere, right? Because they're always building something. You've only got to look at the companies, the restaurants, the hotels that are moving there.
Yeah.
It's a mini London in essence.
Well, you talk about Soho House are opening this year.
Yeah.
You've got Sexy Fish from London, from Berkeley Square. You've got Lucky Cat on the Gordon Ramsay's. You've got the Ivy. I mean, it's really happening. Yeah. And I don't want to disregard any other cities in the UK, but you really see. I think Manchester is moving quicker than any other city outside the capital.
It's a brand now. It's not as big as Coca-Cola, but it's known worldwide, right? Obviously, you've had the influence of Abu Dhabi money coming in. You've got 2 football teams which are mediocre, but you've got a lot happening within the city, which is putting it on that sort of global pedestal where everyone goes, that's the place where we want to go, which is why arguably it's been the #1 hotspot to invest for the last 5 years throughout Europe.
Yeah, exactly. I think One thing, though, slightly more boring point, I think the Metrolink's massive. I know we touched on it before, but connectivity around the city, you don't have that in every city in the UK.
Yeah.
No.
And that's something where Manchester now can just grow outwards with that Metrolink. The city centre is obviously the core, and then you're going to start having your zoning. And this is where, this is effectively sort of on the border of zone 1, 2, isn't
This is the point, isn't it? Like, when you look on a map, Vivere is at the end of Castlefield. But in reality, with Cornbrook Metro Station being directly adjacent, that essentially makes it a better location than everything in between, up to DJ Square, I would argue.
But it's also who are you capturing within that Castlefield area. So, when we've looked at the research that we look at before we launch any projects, Castlefield now typically the hotspot where the postgrads move to once they've left college and university, right? Because they typically can't afford to go and spend 1,600 quid in a one-bed in city centre. They need something slightly less, but the connectivity from A to B is absolutely seamless.
And the thing is, like, the amenities in this project, it's something we were consulted on at the beginning, and we were obviously like, it's a hotel, 81-bed hotel, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you've got 237 branded residences above with on-demand services from the hotel. The amenities, 2 levels of amenities. It's like you don't see that really in projects. That's not the norm.
No.
We've got private dining rooms where you can hire the chef to come and to invite your friends over and have a nice meal.
And that's something that we've focused on a lot post-COVID actually, because from our perspective, like, when we get a tenant in there, right, you just want a tenant staying for 12 months and leaving to move into the next best thing. For us, it's how about you get guaranteed income or reoccurring income on a yearly basis. So if you can have a residence whereby you've got all the facilities, all the amenities with an unbelievable location, the tenant never wants to leave.
Yeah.
So from an investor perspective, they know that for the next 3 to 5 years, the income's only going to go up and up and up.
Yeah.
I think an interesting one with this is you've got your coffee shop and bar, right? Normally in developments, that's a hard thing for a residential development to deliver because you haven't got anyone to run it and you haven't got that constant footfall of new people coming. In a hotel, you've got a fully licensed bar, you've got the fully licensed coffee shop, so you've constantly got F&B downstairs to utilise all the time, which is a major difference in normal developments.
And then the rest of the amenities, the usual stuff: gym, cinema room, co-working space, private for the residents.
And normally,
as I said,
normally when you see the developments with all these amenities, the service charge is normally fairly chunky, right?
Yeah.
I think the service charge that we've managed to nail on here,
£3.59. Let's get into this, right? Let's get into the meat and potatoes of it, if I will. I want to hear from Nick a little bit on the fast facts, the investment highlights, and then we'll come to Lewis and talk a little bit about previous developments, what we've achieved for Foreshore Group, and some of the comparable evidence in the city, and why we think what the pricing is, number one, but why we think we're happy with the pricing and the potential rentals. So Nick, first, just talk us through a little bit about the actual investment facts.
So ground rent is zero, as obviously is standard now in the UK. Service charge, Lewis has just touched upon £3.59, which again, like you said, very affordable for what you're getting. And then 999-year lease, which is a key thing for investors. It's a virtual freehold. Not every single building you'll look at in every city in the UK will have that, so that's a major plus point as well.
Very nice, very nice. So Lewis, why don't you just talk us through a little bit and let everybody understand our lead pricing on the project and let's say the price range for the 1 beds, price range for 2 beds, and then where we're going up to in terms of the penthouses. Yeah,
sure. So 1 beds we're going to launch at £229,000. 2 beds we're going to launch at £329,000, which I think for the spec, the location, the amenities,
it's a great price.
I think it's unbelievable. I think what makes it even more attractive for everyone on this is that it's a 10% down payment with a stage payment of 10% later on. So you're getting in, including legals, on a 1 bed, 25k.
That's massive. I mean, from a marketing standpoint, and from an affordability standpoint for clients, to break that, the previous developments we've worked with on Foreshore have been 20% on exchange, right? Yeah. We've managed to secure an opportunity for 10% down payment. I mean, that really genuinely helps clients.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And if you look at it, opens the market massive. If you look at predominantly where we do a big chunk of our business, Middle East, Africa, Asia, even people putting down that £25,000 now, they're saving that other 25 over that next 3, 4, 5 month period as well. So it makes it accessible to so much more people who necessarily couldn't afford the higher price stock, which was core city centre. From a rental perspective, listen, we're always very conservative on the rental figures. Maybe it doesn't do us any favours, but I'd much rather sort of under promise, over deliver, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I think that's something that's drilled in from the top within the business. We're people who would much rather be proven wrong in a positive way
Yeah, sure.
than a negative way, right?
Yeah.
And I think the under promise, over deliver thing is a massive part of why API has been successful over the years.
Well, we launched Silkbank Wharf June 2022. Was arguably one of our best selling projects, over 100 units in the first 10 weeks. But we went out of one beds at 925 to 975. We've achieved on our last couple of one beds £1,200.
Yeah, which is massive, isn't it?
That's in a 2-year period, right? Yeah. And listen, one, the market has moved in a positive direction. Why? Well, obviously supply-demand imbalances, but Manchester now is like a mini London.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, all the big restaurants, bars, hotels that are moving there. It's got such an attraction and sort of that sex appeal that everyone wants to be based in there, right? Yeah. So prices have increased massively. But also that comes down to the developer and the contractor. Like we said, Domus are building unbelievable quality. Yeah. It's secure, it's stable. Everyone understands this is what they're going to get with the end package. Yeah. That's why we can achieve higher rents than what we forecasted. Even the rents going into Vivere, I still believe are quite conservative. But again, I'd rather say to a client, this is worst case scenario. We've got on the lower floor one beds, £1,200 you're going to be achieving. Well, if we already achieved that today across the road.
Yeah. For a project, and Silkbank Wharf's a brilliant project. It's, like you say, it's one of the best we've been involved in. But amenity-wise, Vivere's far outstrips it.
100%.
So I think we're absolutely conservative on the rentals, and in Silkbank Wharf, the numbers you're saying there, in some cases you're 25 to 30% above our projections.
Yeah.
So I think, look, we're very, very comfortable. Nick, are you happy with in terms of rentals?
I was just going to say that it's very easy in a market like Manchester at the minute. The rents are going mad and have done for several years now. It's very easy to overinflate something that's a couple of years down the line, right? But let's be sensible. Let's make sure that we hit those numbers, and anything above that for the investors is a bonus, isn't it?
Well, we've put it's just over 61 beds. We've put anywhere from 1,200 up to 1,475, which again is quite conservative, right? But this is what we know we're going to achieve based on the price today and the yields. We know that's sort of bottom line, right? And we spoke about earlier, some people can't afford the 15, 16, 1,700 pounds. Don't get me wrong, the higher floor one bed, sort of 20th floor upwards, will be achieving significantly more than that. Yeah. But it's like I said, we're capturing a different tenant profile that necessarily can't afford to go and live in the city centre schemes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, though. I think this is an affordable, high quality project in Manchester, isn't it? And you touched on something there, Nick, that I want to draw back to, is you mentioned that it's very easy to inflate prices and look at what it's going to be worth on completion. Now, obviously with rentals, we need to look at what it's worth on completion, because that's when we start achieving the rents. But with capital values, it's important. There's some developers out there that will price in what it's worth on completion and sell that at today's price. Sell to a 2-year price today.
Defeats the object of off plan.
It defeats the object of buying off plan. And I think that's a really, really crucial point to put across to everybody, that the price that we're launching at, I think is today's market price. I'm absolutely comfortable.
Well, look at the comparables across the water, right? As an example, right? It doesn't have the spec, the amenities, or the location that we're offering. Our lead price is lower than what they have currently.
Well, what is it about? What are we trying to achieve for clients? We're trying to maximise return on capital invested. Okay, so if a client puts 10% down of a 300k unit, their capital invested is £30,000. Right? If that property increases throughout construction by 5%, it's a £15,000 increase. What's that, Lewis, as a return, as a percentage of return on capital?
Good job, I'm good at maths. 50%.
Exactly, and that's how you could look at this, and that's how we look at things. We look at things as a number, from numbers, from the quality of build, and what's achievable for the client.
Well, we take the emotion out of it, right? Yeah. Like I said, you will have certain units, i.e. the penthouse floors, typically I think will go owner-occupier, but majority will be investment grade buy-to-let.
Yeah.
Right? So you're never going to live there, or you may do in the future, right? But certainly in the immediate short term, you're not going to live there. So let's not look at, I want the 17th floor because it's got these great views. Well, if that essentially costs £30,000 more than the 10th floor unit, but the rent is £30,000 less, the 10th floor unit's the better option from an ROI perspective.
Exactly that. Right, let's get this wrapped up then. I just want to come back to you in a second about the launch plan, but very quickly, Nick, when are we going to be on site? When are we going to see it coming out to the ground? Obviously, there's some groundworks that need to happen first, and then what's the completion date?
Yeah, so remedial works will start this side of Christmas, and I think in Q1 next year we're looking to get on site, and then that's when we'll start to see more and more activity on site and start coming out the ground. So we're looking at a completion date of towards the end of Q2 2027.
Right, okay, good. And Lou, launch plan, what's the plan going forward now for the next few weeks?
I mean, I think if you look as a business, we've expanded quickly and we've now got 14 offices globally. So we have got companies in every territory or jurisdiction we operate wanting to do seminars, webinars, events. So over the next sort of 10 to 14 weeks, we've got seminars ranging from Singapore all the way through to Latin America with different partners, different clientele, where we're going to be informative, give them all the information about who we are, what we do and how we do it, but also, or more importantly, Vivere residences. If any agents on the call haven't actually got anything planned, please reach out to your account managers. We want to get things booked in, whether that be webinars, whether that be seminars, whether that be private dining events, whatever it may be. We want to get in front of you and your clients as much as possible to show what I believe is going to be the best development in Manchester this year.
Yeah, agreed. And look, guys, it's possible that we're here to support you. You know, come up with creative ideas. We'll work with you on it. We are literally here as a plug-in to offer to simplify the sales process for you as best we can and support on the marketing. Just some key dates then. So a week today, 26th of September, we have a VIP client webinar. So feel free to invite your VIP clients to the webinar and let's get some easy tap-ins ahead of the global launch on the 30th of September. For those of you in the Middle East, we have got 9th of October penciled in as the all singing, all dancing launch of the project, which if any of you came to the W or the Obsidian launch, you'll know exactly what you're in store for. It's a great night. We're really keen on doing more of these events globally. So if you're dialing in from Asia, come and speak to us. Let's look at what we can do together. But for now, thank you, Lewis. Thank you, Nick. And thank you guys. And we're happy to answer any questions you may have.